The house on Cypress Lane in suburban Clearwater, Florida, looked like every other one on the block. Single-story stucco with a tile roof, a small front yard dotted with palm trees, and a two-car garage that faced the street like a closed mouth. It was the kind of neighborhood where people waved from driveways, kids rode bikes until the streetlights flickered on, and everyone pretended the humidity wasn't slowly cooking them alive. Frank Harlan had moved in 3 years earlier, after his wife Ellen passed. His daughter Sarah insisted, "Dad, you can't stay in that big empty house in Tampa. Come live with us. The kids love you, and we have the spare room." Frank had resisted at first. He was 68, still sharp, still capable, but the loneliness had teeth, and they bit deeper each month. So he sold the old place, packed what mattered into boxes, and became part of the household again. The arrangement worked, mostly. Sarah worked as a nurse at Morton Plant Hospital pulling long shifts. His son-in-law, Ethan, ran a small auto-detailing business out of a rented bay downtown, though lately he seemed to spend more time on his phone than polishing chrome. The grandkids, 8-year-old Mia and 6-year-old Lucas, treated Frank like a combination of superhero and personal storyteller. He read them books at night, made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs on weekends, and pretended not to notice when they snuck extra cookies. But the garage was off-limits. It wasn't always. When Frank first moved in, the garage held the usual clutter: lawnmower, beach chairs, boxes of Christmas decorations. Ethan parked his black Ford F-150 inside every night, and Sarah's minivan sat in the driveway. Then, about 8 months ago, Ethan installed a heavy padlock on the side door and another on the roll-up. "Just keeping the tools safe," he said when Sarah asked. "Business is picking up? Got some expensive polishers and buffers now?" She nodded, distracted by a 12-hour shift ahead. Frank noticed but said nothing. Families had their small secrets. The noises started in early spring. At first, Frank thought it was raccoons. Florida was full of them, bold little bandits that rattled trash cans and scratched in attics. But these sounds came after midnight, when the neighborhood had gone quiet except for the hum of air conditioners and the distant bark of someone's dog. Low voices, a metallic clank, the soft thud of something heavy being set down. Sometimes laughter, short, sharp, the kind men make when they're trying not to be heard. Frank's bedroom window overlooked the backyard, but the garage sat on the opposite side of the house. To hear anything clearly, he had to get up, walk down the hall past the kids' rooms, and stand near the kitchen door that led to the interior garage access. The door was locked from the garage side now, too. Ethan had done that one afternoon while humming to himself. Night after night, Frank listened. The sounds were inconsistent. Some nights, nothing. Others, a steady murmur for 20 or 30 minutes. Once he thought he heard a woman's voice, soft and pleading. Then Ethan's low reply, too muffled to make out words. Another time, the unmistakable sound of duct tape being ripped from a roll. He told himself it was nothing. Ethan was stressed. Business was probably slow and he was working late on side jobs. Maybe he was detailing cars for cash under the table. People did that. Frank had done odd jobs himself back in the day. But curiosity is a slow poison. One humid Thursday in June, Frank couldn't sleep. The ceiling fans spun lazily overhead, stirring the same warm air. At 12:47 a.m., the voices started again, louder this time, urgent. He slipped out of bed in his worn plaid robe, bare feet silent on the tile. The house was dark except for the faint blue glow of the microwave clock in the kitchen. He pressed his ear to the kitchen door. Nothing at first, then. "Can't keep doing this here. Too close to the house." Ethan's voice, tense. Another man, deeper, accent Frank couldn't place. Maybe Miami, maybe further south. "You want out? Say the word, but you owe. You know how this works." A third voice, younger, nervous. "Boss, the next drop is tomorrow. We need the space cleared tonight." Frank's heart knocked against his ribs. He backed away, palms damp. He didn't know what this was, but he knew it wasn't detailing cars. The next night, he tried the side of the house. The garage had a small window near the roofline, high up, covered in dust and cobwebs. Frank dragged the garden hose reel over, stood on it, and peered through a hairline crack where the caulking had shrunk away. What he saw froze him. The garage lights were on, bright fluorescents Ethan had installed last year. The F-150 was pulled forward, tailgate down. In the back, under a blue tarp, something large and irregular was tied down with bungee cords. Two men Frank had never seen stood near a metal workbench. One held a black duffel bag open while Ethan counted stacks of cash, rubber-banded, crisp. The third man, tall, tattooed forearms, leaned against the wall, smoking, watching the door like a guard dog. But it wasn't the money that made Frank's stomach turn. On the far wall, half hidden behind stacked tires, a woman sat on the concrete floor, hands zip-tied behind her back, duct tape over her mouth, eyes wide and red-rimmed. She was young, maybe 25, dark hair matted with sweat. Her shirt was torn at the shoulder. She rocked slightly, silently crying. Ethan glanced at her once, expression blank, then went back to counting. Frank nearly fell off the hose reel. He caught himself, climbed down, and stumbled back inside. His knees shook so badly he had to lean against the kitchen counter. Human trafficking, kidnapping, drugs. He didn't know the exact flavour, but he knew rot when he smelled it. He didn't scream, didn't call the police. Not yet. He lay awake until dawn, mind racing. If he called 911 now, what happened? Cops swarmed, Ethan got arrested, maybe. But the strangers, they might come back. They knew where Sarah and the kids lived. And Sarah, did she know? Frank's daughter was smart, kind, exhausted. She trusted Ethan. She'd married him 8 years ago when he was just a guy with a smile and a plan to open his own shop. Had he changed, or had he always been this? Frank thought of Mia's nightmares last month, waking up crying about bad men in the dark. Lucas asking why Daddy locked the garage, like a secret. Small things he'd dismissed. At 5:45 a.m., before the sun rose, Frank made his decision. He moved quietly, packed 2 small backpacks, clothes for the kids, toothbrushes, Mia's favourite stuffed turtle, Lucas's dinosaur book. Cash from his own savings, $4,000 he'd kept hidden in a coffee can under his bed. His old service pistol, a .38 revolver he hadn't touched in 15 years, went into his jacket pocket. He woke the children gently. "Hey, little explorers. Grandpa's taking you on a surprise adventure. Quiet now, don't wake Mommy and Daddy." Mia rubbed her eyes. "Is it Disney?" "Something even better," Frank lied. "But we have to be sneaky like spies." Lucas grinned sleepily. "Cool." He carried them out the front door, one under each arm, then buckled them into his old Toyota Corolla, parked 2 houses down. He'd started parking there weeks ago, claiming the driveway was too full. No one questioned an old man walking. He drove north on US 19, windows down, humid air rushing in. The kids fell back asleep in their booster seats. Frank kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting headlights to appear behind him. He didn't stop until Gainesville, 4 hours away. There he found a cheap motel off the interstate, paid cash, and let the kids sleep more. While they napped, he called Sarah from the motel's lobby phone. She answered on the second ring, voice thick with sleep and panic. "Dad, where are you? The kids. Listen to me, honey. Don't say my name out loud. Just listen." He told her what he'd seen. The woman, the money, the men, the padlocks. Silence on the line, then a choked sound. "Ethan. He said he was storing equipment for a friend. I believed him. Oh God, Dad. Get out. Now. Take what you can carry and go to your cousin in Orlando. Don't go back to the house alone. Call the police from somewhere safe. Tell them everything. But you, I'm taking the kids somewhere safe. I'll call you when I can. I love you, Sarah. Be careful." He hung up before she could argue. Frank drove another 6 hours that day, crossing into Georgia, then Alabama. He avoided major highways after the first stretch, took back roads through pine forests and small towns. The kids asked questions. Where was Mommy? When were they going home? But Frank told stories about knights and dragons until they giggled and forgot. They ended up in a small cabin rental near Mobile, paid a month in advance with cash. No internet, no cable, just woods, a lake, and quiet. Days became weeks. Frank watched the news on a tiny TV in the cabin's living room. A multi-agency raid in Clearwater, human smuggling ring, several arrests. Ethan's name appeared in the third-day stories. Local businessman implicated. Photos showed him in handcuffs, head down. Sarah called once a week from a burner phone. She was staying with her cousin, filing for divorce, talking to detectives. The woman from the garage had been found, alive, traumatized, but alive. She'd identified Ethan and 2 others. More victims came forward. Frank listened, said little. He cooked spaghetti for the kids, taught them how to fish, read the same books over and over. Mia stopped asking about Daddy. Lucas drew pictures of Grandpa as a superhero. One evening in late August, as cicadas screamed outside, Frank sat on the porch with a cup of decaf, watching fireflies. Mia climbed into his lap. Grandpa? Yeah, Peanut? Are we ever going back?